Hey everyone, I'm Abbie, and these are the co-producers on an album that comes out September 27, but we are going to talk about how we made one of the singles on the album called Wild and Free. And it's one of my favorite songs on the album for specific reasons, but before we get into how we made the song, we are at Goshen Brewing Co. in Goshen, Indiana. Jesse is the owner, and he let us film these videos in his space, and he's also hosting our album release concert on September 28th. And he also gave us some free beer to try.
Yeah, which we have.
Yeah, we've already had some. That's fine. Great, so first is Hop on the Vine, Honey Blonde. This is up my alley.
Hop on the Vine.
Hey, congratulations to finishing an album, by the way.
Cheers.
So good. I miss beer.
Yeah. I love this one.
This is so good.
Easy to drink.
It's very summery.
Very kind of coppery
Yeah.
kind of thing.
The honey makes it just smooth.
Yeah. But let's talk about Wild and Free and how the song got made, because I think it's a fun story, honestly.
Yeah.
So I wrote this song on guitar, and I wrote it because I was on a little road trip with my husband, and we were talking about how we grew up and like the differences, and we ended up talking about my favorite sandwich.
Okay.
And realizing that I was less fortunate, and like there wasn't meat on the sandwich, and then there was a whole song that came from that, and just like that's the story lyrically, but the way that we produced the song in the studio was really cool. It took you might still be trying to get on board with the song.
Possibly.
And if you don't know, these two are also in my backing band, the Crazy Hearts, and so we work together a lot. And normally when I bring a song, I'll be like, hey, how are we going to build this up so it's, for the full band, or in this case for the album, like how are we going to do this? And you struggled with this one.
Yeah.
Like hard.
Yeah.
I think you still do a little bit, but
You're
coming around. So musically, why was this one so tough?
Well, it doesn't follow rules in the same way that most of the other ones do. It's not in a clear key. The chords don't follow, like, what's the word I'm looking for to disappoint my music background? Functional harmony. So chords have a purpose that leads to other things, and they function in a way like parts of like grammar in a sentence, like verbs have a function in a sentence that use other parts around them, and like harmony kind of works like that too sometimes. And this song doesn't follow any of those rules,
Right.
and that makes it really hard for me to like understand or like figure out, because that's just how I work. I'm like a weird nerd about putting all the pieces together. I like thinking about that.
Well, and you're classically trained, and so your music theory skill set is just like
like that was my like background always of reading off the page, following the rules. So for most of my life playing music, I only played what was on in front of me. And so there's just so many levels past what I'm comfortable with in a lot of ways. And so I struggled to help produce this song at all. I basically checked out of producing the song. I was purely tell me what to do and I'll do it. So.
And we had a conversation in the studio. I was like, I know I want this one to be fun, and I know I reference Lauryn Hill a lot because that's just how I heard it because of the way the storytelling is in this song. So we talked about it in the studio, and then I remember you having like a light bulb moment. And you're like, I know what to do.
To me, like, this song makes a ton of sense. This song, to me, like, very much references, like, early 90s hip-hop. And it's sample-based in that sense. And one of the things that's really interesting about listening to that era of hip-hop is that there's a lot of things that don't go together, were sometimes made by people who didn't have a background in like chord theory or I'm trying to get this vibe, and so what can I find that kind of takes this song to the place I'm trying to go to. Certain DJs clearly understood music and played instruments and also like understood chord theory, leading tones, and how to get from one place to another with chords, right? And then there's other ones who were just completely intuitive about it, right? And sometimes the stuff that came out of that was like even a little disconcerting at times. and it reminds me a little bit of like early surf music, because you would hear these in the era of like Glenn Miller Orchestra and Buddy Rich and like all these people who worked really, really hard at like doing music the right way.
Mm-hmm.
And then all these guys came along with like terrible, crappy Japanese copies of Fenders that were completely out of tune, played very basic and almost even quote unquote bad music, and everybody loves it. And they're selling, 10 times the records. And you can understand like why all these people worked really hard at something would be grumpy about that. And I think that same thing happened a lot in the late 80s and early 90s with hip hop.
Yeah.
Because it broke a lot of the rules. The people who had studied music through the lens of studying music were really irritated by it. It had fake drums. It had synthesizers, which were still very controversial. And it had samples of other people's music all over it. And, the combination of those things really bothered people who took music very seriously. And I grew up in that era, so I remember people being very bothered by that. I remember vividly people being like, and so I really intentionally tried to turn my brain off for like what's right and go for vibe.
Yeah.
With
it does have a
the
vibe.
song, right? And so we played the song 3 different styles, completely different styles.
All the way through.
So the band reinterpreted the song initially in like kind of like almost like a
She went for jazz first.
kind of like or like a early Ray Charles kind of vibe. And then the second version of it we did was kind of like a
Stevie.
Yeah, like a Stevie Wonder kind of thing, and then we did like almost like a disco version of it, and
sampled
and
ourselves.
then I sampled the records that we had made.
Yeah.
And put those together, completely reconfigured them, intentionally left, like, you can hear clipping on the drum loops because I, like, cut them the wrong way, because a lot of the old audio editors would not, like, there was no crossfade in, like, the samplers. So very intentionally left it, like, a little rough.
Yeah.
And then just straight up stole parts. Like, so the main piano hook,
which is so cool, by
that
the way.
throughout the
I'm
song
obsessed with it.
came from a jam at the end of one of the things that was like something that Simon played once.
I don't remember playing that. It was not like an intentional part. I think actually, now that I'm trying to learn it backwards, I think you took like the second half and the first half of another phrase and like drug it half
100%.
a bar. Like, is not what I meant to do at all.
Right.
And it's amazing.
It's the dopest,
It's so good.
dopest piano sample ever. And so that, and then I grabbed a sample of Simon or of Isaac playing upright, and that became kind of their initial germ of the song.
Yeah, because Isaac played upright on one version, and then he played electric on another, right? Yeah, and the upright on it, it's just it's just a vibe.
Right.
The whole thing.
And so just basically took these parts that had no connection to where they ended up in the song, which is how crate diggers would make records. They would just find a cool thing that they liked, a cool piano riff, or a cool drum beat, a break beat, or whatever, and put those things together, and create something new out of it. And so that was super fun. And then you also played some synth bass in parts of the song. Because one of the things that was really challenging was like, okay, well now we got the really cool start to the song. Like, how do we make it and take it from this really cool, like this really great drum loop, this really cool upright bass line, and this really cool piano lick, but there's like a whole song. It's not like there's just like this 30 seconds of whatever. And how do we like make the rest of the song up to the level of that idea? And eventually it ended up that we needed to put some synth bass in there to kind of fill in some of the holes and give it that like kind of 808 style, like layers to the drums. And
I think background vocals really helped me a lot on this one. Like I started feeling really good about it with all the background vocals too.
But your reaction the first day that I showed you like what it actually was starting to become.
I was just like, that's
You
it.
lost your mind.
I was like, how did you read my mind?
Yeah,
Like,
I
I
was
couldn't
like-
verbalize what I wanted, but you figured it out.
Yeah, and I was like, okay, we are on the right path here. Now
Yeah.
I have to follow it through.
I know, right?
So,
And you did, and you pulled it off, and it's so good.
So good.
It's so good, so good.
Streaming on all platforms now.
So your marketing game is strong. Young man.
Yes, you are on it.
Yeah, so go stream Wild and Free. It's out everywhere now. And there's a lyric video, there's a visualizer. You can check those out on YouTube. And also go pre-save all of my future releases at the link in all the places. There's probably one in the description. Depending on what platform you're on, I will tell you where that link is. And that the full album comes out September 27, and we are really excited for you to hear it.
Yes.
But for now, we hope you guys enjoy Wild and Free.
When you're not